Miigwech. Thank you. If everyone can learn one new word today, if you don't know it already, it's a simple Anishinaabe word we use frequently, the thank you, Miigwech. So I'd like to say Buju Ani Nindinawe Magani Dog. That's hello to all my relations. Dodam Gagoon, my clan is Fish Clan. Zakajue Makate Panasic Indigenous cause. My spirit name or Anishinaabe name is Black Thunderbird Woman on the Horizon. Lavak Minwa Biscotasing in Dunjiba. I'm originally from Northern Ontario communities of a mining town called Lavac and a small settlement called Biscotasing. And Kingston I'm now living in Kingston. So that's a traditional type of opening where you identify your clan membership and where you're from. And we say that when we speak the language, our ancestors are happy and they're with us. And I think our ancestors would be very happy to know about all the truth and reconciliation work that's happening here in Kingston. And I'm pleased to be able to share some of that work with you today. I wanted to start with how I became involved with the Language Nest initially. And it was through a woman named Maureen Buchanan, whoever knows her usually ends up adoring her. She has so much heart and spirit, and she's really the Nokomis of the language work in our community. And I think it might have been about 2016, she invited me to participate in making digital stories. And there had to be connected to how our experience with the language. And I tell you about this because I think it's the experience of many urban Indigenous people that we've lost our connection to the language. And that was certainly my case. And my digital story was portrayed the relationship with my grandmother, and her and my grandfather were fluent. And I had tried to learn from her in my early 20s when I moved to Kingston, but I didn't have anyone to talk to here in Kingston. There was no community. Couldn't practice what I learned. So when Maureen came along into my life and her drive with this organization, it was just like, I've been waiting 30 years for this, and it's finally here. So yeah, I do have to give so much credit to Maureen. I do have a few slides to show to help guide me along here. So I'm going to see if I can share that with you. And I will say my technology is not terribly strong, and I certainly struggle with it.
That's perfect. We can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so this is a little outline to keep me on track too, so I don't ramble too long on one area and miss out on some others. So the Language Nest has been in this community since about 2012, and we've recently incorporated, and we're working on our charitable status. So I'm going to just touch on some of the activities we've been involved with, and I'm going to start with one that really has the reconciliation story to go with it. And it's the Walking the Path of Peace Together initiative that is related to a piece of land on Highway 15. And here's a sketch of where it's located. It's on the east side of the highway. And it's really a story about how this Kingston urban Indigenous community has begun to actually have a land base where we can gather and meet. And according to a recent census, there are about 7,000 self-identified Indigenous people here, and the two predominant languages or cultures are the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee, as most of us know. And being, I guess, away from our communities and away from a lot of our cultural and spiritual practices means, having this community here in the urban setting is really important. And there are a lot of people like myself who missed out because of our ancestors' experience, say, with residential school and not passing the language on, or people leaving their communities because of the trauma, really, and things going on in communities and going to urban centers. So, our community is based on a wide range of people from different parts, even of the country, actually, but predominantly, as I say, are Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee, with some Cree people as well. So this initiative was brought to us by the United Church, the Faith United Church, and this is a response to the Truth and Reconciliation call to action. And they wanted to do something that they would describe as being radical and being motivated by faith and by love. And it's kind of like repatriating the land back to the original owners. And it's been taken very seriously, and there's been just a ton of activity in the past couple of years. And I'll have a few slides here. It's basically like a just cleared land that had, I imagine, been used for farming. And but it's a big enough size to do quite a bit. And initially, there's just a place to store some lawn chairs and a little bit of gardening implements and a place to gather. And I can say I've been there in the early days, and the cars are whistling by and it's really windy, and you just feel like you're on an empty piece of land. But I really feel like that's going to change in the near future. Gradually, I think it might just been last year or the year before, playground play structure was added for children, because when we come together, there's grandchildren like my Noshe, my grandson, and young families, and it's so nice to just see the kids running around. It's not like you have to watch them for cars. You're far enough away from the highway. They're running and climbing, and even if they're not sitting in the circle, they're hearing the language and they're building friends, and it's such a good community feeling. So incorporating and making it welcoming for the youth has been really important. And at one of our language nest gatherings, someone even brought up the fact that, can you imagine what it would be like in community 50 or 80 years ago when there were no children? Like, the children were all taken away. So you'd have events and there'd just be no children. And it's such a sobering thought when you can see them and hear them laughing and playing. And I think maybe it's because of that, or maybe we all just love children. I think there's just that special place for the youth is really important and appreciated. This is an aerial view, so you can see now, this past summer, there's been a lot more gardening and a lot more ceremony being held there. It's a very welcoming place. It's getting warmer and more welcoming. I feel like the more we go there. And there's an aspect to the repatriation that has an aspect of food sovereignty, that when people lose their land base, traditionally, that's also a source of food, right? So there's been an effort to, grow food there and share it with the community. And I know I was there in the summer for a talk. Different people talked about different aspects, and there's corn planted there, and especially the Haudenosaunee culture, our Mohawk neighbors, they have a really special relationship with the corn. And people shared their teachings, and there's one that stuck in my mind about a woman who's really involved with, there was a seed saving program, and seeds from different communities that haven't been modified were replanted, and that's her kind of life's work. And she said, these seeds taught me something. I was singing to them and they gave me a story back. And she told this story, how we think of the three sisters, and many of you may have heard about this, the beans, corn, and squash, how they grow together. And she said the corn told her the story that it doesn't just apply to corn, it can apply to our human relationships as well. That sometimes we have to be the corn stalk and be the strong supporter in our family and our community and our workplace. And other times we can be the beans, and we can rely on that strong person and flourish and wrap ourselves around it and use it as a way to grow and get what we need to flourish, like reach the sun. Or sometimes we can be like the squash and be those broad leaves that collect the rain and protect from the sun, and we can just lay low and just not be the dominant one, but do our job the way we have to do it that way. And I thought, oh, what a nice way to think of things. And it comes back to mind on occasion, it applies to all kinds of circumstances. So I thought I'd share that story that I learned here at the Walking the Path of Peace Together. And another story I want to tell about ceremony is I guess one of the more recent events is the little forest that there were, I think it's either 1,200 or 1,600 seedlings planted on this property. And it's a real community effort. And the day the trees were coming to be delivered, we had a sunrise ceremony there. And first of all, I just remember the sun coming up, and there's just huge red beam just shot straight up into the sky. The way the clouds were formed, it was spectacular. And some of us looked at each other like, do you see that? It was just beautiful. And there were members from the church and the community and the Indigenous community. And one of the things that was said a number of times that I wanted to share was just how welcoming the environment is, like for everyone. It's just a real, everyone feels welcomed and part of that community. And, it just has fostered a lot of good things, I think, on both sides. The rewards for the people from the church and anyone interested in plants in the community, the seed savers, the gardeners, everyone is welcome. The little forest group that has all the knowledge about the trees and how they should be planted. It's been such a good community builder. So I did want to spend a lot of my time on that. But I also wanted to mention our Language Nest has evolved. We've had evening classes, which were shut down due to COVID, which we ended up moving to on the land sessions. And we've gone to Rotary Park in the shore of the bay at Collins Bay. We've been out to Little Cataraqui and had our sacred fire and food, and we have many partnerships, a really strong one with the Loving Spoonful, and a lot of our gatherings, revolve around food. We eat and learn words for food as we're cooking or sharing our food. And there's a lot more exciting things coming down the road with the city of Kingston setting aside the building at 610 Montreal Street for us. And we're just finalizing our lease arrangements and looking forward to COVID restrictions lifting and starting to run some programming there for youth. And it's nice that that location is quite close to Bell Island, because we've also been involved with invasive species work there and kind of repatriating that land as well. The more I learn about the birds and the trees and what probably was there and what's there now, how to try to restore it back to the indigenous, what would have been indigenous species growing in that area. So we're pretty excited. And if this will work, I'm just going to show a little video clip of a digital tool we have for children. And it's Maureen herself. I don't know. Make this big here. Oh. Oh.
We can't hear the sound.
Oh, darn. That's the best part. Can't hear it at all?
No.
No. Okay. I am not a good.
I think you have to go back to your screen share and in the left-hand corner, click on share sound.
Oh, okay. I'll try that. If you
Yeah,
have patience.
we're patient. We're patient.
Okay. I'll just sit back to that slide. Oops. Maybe I went too far there. So I go down and.
Actually, before you share your screen.
Okay. And I go to the 3 dots. Oops. Oh, share sound. I see it. Thank you.
Bonjour, Norman. Anin. Ich bin Anin. Boop. Hey. So today we're going to talk about winter birds. Winter baboon. Birds Benishi. Benishio. Norman. Winter birds baboon Benishio. Woo! Okay, so what birds do we see? Nawagma. Nawagma. Benishi. Yeah. Nisko Beneshi. Can you say that? Oh,
Hello?
and go up. Ready? Drama. Ganeshi. Can you say that? Oh, do that again. That was so good. Holy gee whiz. Ready?
I just want to give a little example of some of the creative things we've been doing during COVID to try to keep the language learning alive. And also wanted to introduce Maureen Buchanan. Her traditional name is Assiniquet. Like I say, she is the heart and soul and tireless crusader and networker, and I can't say enough good things about Maureen. So a lot of credit goes to her for the work that's happening in our community. I will say a big Chimigwech, Bizendawayeg. Thank you for your time and listening to me today.